Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I'm welcoming you back to my channel for another episode in our travel album. This one to our Oahu trip. In many ways, this video kind of marks another starting point in this vacation because we have finally made it to the Polynesian Cultural Center on Oahu. And if you have not visited the PCC when you've been to Oahu before, I encourage you to make that a priority. It is a fantastic place to go and learn about all of the different islands that make up the Polynesian cultures, and you can just learn a ton of information there. And I'll be talking more about that as I do this series of videos for our visit there. We have a ton of pictures, so it's going to take a little while to get through. But I'm going to share with you what we learned and some information about what you'll find there at the Polynesian Cultural Center. So come along on our journey. Let's check out what's in my workspace today. All right, so here is my desktop, and I just wanted to kind of start from where we were the last time that we got together for Oahu. This was the right side of the page, of the two-page layout that we did. This is the road on the windward side of the island, if I have that right, leading to Laie, which is the area where the Polynesian Cultural Center is located. And I just loved the variations in the colors of the water. It's just fascinating to me, but I'm a water baby, so that makes a whole lot of sense when you know that. I went ahead and did the next two layouts, so I just wanted to show them to you so that you can kind of get an idea what to do with souvenirs and things like that. This was taken from a little fold-out, trifold kind of map that we were given that talked about all the different areas in the Polynesian Cultural Center, both the marketplace that's out front, and then once you go through the gates, all the different islands that you visit, and then it talks about all the things that you can do and see and visit while you're there. All the stuff that you can learn about. These were our ticket stubs that I just stuck over here to this side. This was a sign that was out front in the marketplace, and it was one of those kind of "you are here" type signs, so I thought it might be helpful while we were there. But we had a private tour guide while we were there, so it was fantastic, and we really enjoyed our visit. We didn't need a map because she took us everywhere we went and knew exactly where to go for everything. So it was great. We wore these wristbands which entitled us to different things. One was the luau that evening, and another was the wonderful show that they do. It's an outdoor presentation similar to a Broadway play. Like it could have been on Broadway. It was pretty amazing. And this is one of the canoes that they have that you can see as you travel down the canal on a little raft. You get a kind of little mini tour before you work your way back to the entrance. So just kind of an overview of this page. The embellishments that you see on this page were taken from vitamin C, and the flowers are from a laser border that I cut apart. And the leaves were from a vitamin C pack of leaves that looks just like this. They come in a pack of all different types of tropical leaves. They're no longer available on the website, but you might have them in your stash or be able to find them on an In Search Of site. This piece right here actually came from Boho. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not remembering the full name of that collection, but a totally different one. Just an odd piece that I had left over. And then the border that you see that goes across both sides here is made up of 2 stickers and a laser border. And the laser border comes from Serene Waters, but the 2 sticker collection, or 2 sticker borders, also come from the boho collection. So just in case you're wanting to find those, that's where you'll find them. Turning the page, we have just a few more souvenirs, and this was the reason I didn't do this one in a video is because it's mainly, there's not much to it other than the photographs and the memorabilia, so I just wanted to kind of walk you through it instead of showing you how it's put together. This is another portion of that same fold out map that we had, and this showed all of the different places in the Polynesian Cultural Center and the times that they had activities and demonstrations going on. And then I have a laser border that goes across. Oh, this is double matted also. I double matted this picture of us up here in the corner just to kind of offset it, and then I used those same colored mats for all the photos just to kind of give it a little bit of color, a little more color than just the pictures. I again cut apart a laser border to add some flowers, and these are 2 matching laser borders that I flipped one of them over because the other side was also colored, so it just made sense to me to use both of them, but to use them complementing so the birds are looking at each other. And then these are 2 more mats from the boho collection. So anyway, just fairly simple, but it worked. Oh, and we wore these buttons the whole time that we were there, which was kind of fun. Aloha, it's my anniversary, because that's what we were celebrating, our 30th anniversary. And then my husband wore this one that says mahalo to our military, because he is a veteran. So anyway, moving on. Today we are starting our visit to the Polynesian Cultural Center with our visit to Tahiti. And we're going to follow this virtual sketch that came from the virtual crop in March. And it's going to, I think it will work really well for what we're planning to do here. So let's just see how it goes, okay? So we need 2 strips, 2 12-inch strips, one for the bottom and one for the top here, and then we need a 4-inch strip for the top and bottom here as well. So I'm going to grab my trimmer and get a couple things out of the way here. Gonna move my photos. Let's just fold this back so that we can see it a little bit more easily and not get distracted with other patterns. I have this cute thing that also came from that fold out map that shows the top things to do in each island, and so I went ahead and cut this out so I could add this to the scrapbook as well. So we'll find a good spot for that. And then the queens of Tahiti apparently, or the king, it's a king I think currently, or maybe it's a queen, oh gosh, I'm forgetting. At any rate, the leading monarch of Tahiti occasionally comes to Oahu, and when they do, they have a throne they may sit on in the island of Tahiti portion of the Polynesian Cultural Center, which I thought was really cool. It's a hand-carved throne, and really, really nice. Anyway, let me just set those aside and get rolling here. Okay, so we're going to use this piece of paper as our large piece that goes across, all the way across the right-hand side and a portion of the left-hand side. This piece of paper actually comes from a different collection altogether. This comes from Deep in the Woods, but I needed something to resemble the reeds and the cane poles that they use to make the thatched walls of the cottage that you'll see here in a minute. So that's what this is, and that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to make my top piece and my bottom piece 2.5 inches, and I'm guessing that they're 2.5 inches because the photo is 6 inches. And then that would mean that each of these gaps would be 3 inches wide, and we've got a little bit of space between. So I'm going to guess that these are 2.5 inches, although I don't really have a measurement for that. So I'm just going by what it looks like I ought to be cutting that at. And I was trying to decide which way to do this, but I think I want my vertical lines going this way, so I'm going to cut across this direction. So we're going to go with 2.5, which doesn't really seem wide enough, but I think in the end I will be happy with it. So 2.5, and we're going to do another one at 2.5, top and bottom. Then I need another one at 2.5 that I can cut into pieces. Whoops, that's 2, not 2.5. There's 2.5. Okay, so that we can use that for these sections right here, which are going to be 4 inches wide. See how they're the same length, or the same length of the width of a photo. So these are going to need to be, I'm going to need to turn this one and cut it at 4 inches so that I have 2 that are 4 inches wide. Sometimes I fight with that line, putting something right on the line to cut or right before the line to cut. At any rate, okay. So that's going to be our main, this main band right here. The decoration that's going to go on the edge right here are going to be, they're going to be punched with this punch right here, which is our giant Monstera leaves punch. And we're going to do that in 2 different colors to give it some depth. And then I'm going to also, I think I'm going to use the wispy chain punch with our border maker to go on top of it and add just a little bit of color. We'll see what happens when we get there. These are 4x4 squares, and we have a third one right here, and they ought to be punched with the same, well, they could be punched with the same paper that we used for this. However, you'll notice in the sketch they are slightly off. They're like a different color, and I think they're more similar to the same color that our trim is punched in. So actually, maybe we'll just use the green. Maybe we'll use, oh, I had another photo tucked up underneath there. Okay, so these are the 2 pieces of paper I'm going to use for the Monstera leaves. This is a printed piece of paper from the, I believe it's from our Tropic Time collection that came out in January. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this as the base, so because it's darker. So I'm going to cut these at 4 inches, just one strip at 4 inches. Then I'm going to cut each of these, or I'm going to cut this strip into 4 4-inch pieces. So I have 4 4-inch squares. Okay, so those are the bases for the squares that are going to go here. Then I'm going to use this paper, which is almost the leaf green paper that we had, but not quite. And I'm going to make these squares 3.5 inches, so they will have a border around them and they'll sit inside the 4-inch square. like this, just to give it, again, a little bit more depth, because I want more of this lighter green to show. I want the darker green for the shading effect that it gives, but I want the lighter green because it matches the green that's in my photos better. All right, so that is all. That's all the trimming we're going to do just now. We are going to probably do some matting of a photo, but for now we're just going to go with that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and punch a few things. So let me get my pages, these natural pages that we're going to build on, out of the way just a bit, so that I have some room to punch. So we need to punch these borders right here, and we need to punch the decoration that's going to go on top of the borders. So I'm going to just go ahead and use this punch. If you've never seen one of our Creative Memories punches, there's a locking mechanism up here that locks it shut for storage so that it stays nice and flat for storage. And then we have these wings on the outside that have a pattern on them. The pattern matches the punch that that this punch creates. On the front there are two markings, and I'm going to line my left or right edge of my paper up with the marking that is farthest away. So this edge is going to line up with the left-hand mark, and I'm going to put my paper all the way to the back, to the wing that's on the back of, or the shoulder that's on the back of this wing right here. And then I'm going to punch and slide, and as I slide it along, I'm going to slide it along until that green paper covers the design that's shown on the wing. And I'm just going to keep going until I have my whole page, my whole 12-inch sheet punched with my design. Usually takes about 6 punches. Okay, so there's one. We're going to do 2 of those. So I'm going to put this through again. And then I need one more strip because we have those 2 extra little pieces that come onto the page next door. So we're just going to do a 3rd strip. Now I'm going to do the same thing using my darker paper. Get rid of my punched confetti for a second. So we're going to do 3 strips to shadow this one, or these. All right, now we're going to go ahead and punch our what did we call these? Oh, goodness, my brain is crazy today. Our wispy chains. We're going to punch a couple of wispy chains just to give some brightness to our design here. And so we're going to do one red and one, actually, I beg your pardon, we're going to need to do 3 of each of these also. Because my piece of paper is shorter than I need it to be for the magnets to grasp, I'm just going to add a couple of post-it notes on there. And then my arm here will adhere to the post-it notes and hold it while I punch the rest of my yellow piece. There we go. All right. Now I am done with this bit. I think we are ready to assemble. And we'll see where we go. Okay, let's go ahead and assemble these first. And so I'm just going to grab some repositionable adhesive. I'm going to grab each of these sets of my Monstera leaves. I'm going to just put some repositionable adhesive on the back. I don't have to worry with repositionable adhesive about the holes in my punch design because they will just, the little dots in my adhesive will just not adhere if there's a hole, so I don't end up with a lot of adhesive showing when I use that. This is my favorite stuff ever. Okay, so I'm just offsetting that just slightly. I hope you can see that in the video, how the other color of leaves just shows behind like a shadow. I'm going to do that for all 3 of these. All right, so those are done. Now I'm going to do the same thing with these, and I chose the red because the red and the gold because in my photos you can see that they have a lot of red and gold in their photos. So I think what I want to do is accent the red with the gold, but I'm also wondering, what if we flipped it over and did something like that? I think I want to do that. I think that would look better and create a little bit more interest. So we're going to do that. We're going to use the repositionable adhesive a little bit on each one of the solid sections. I wouldn't try to put it on the little hooks because it will likely tear it, and you don't want that. So just line up the circle sections so that they are basically overlapping each other. You're still going to see just a little bit of the color underneath, but that's okay. It'll be all right. All right, there. So we're going to do that 3 times, and that will be our accent. And let me see here. How do we have that? Like that. So I do put a little bit of adhesive on the very end piece, the very end little hook, because you want that to stay adhered down. Okay, last one. All right, there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and put these together. I'm worried that that's gonna overshadow the monstera leaves, but I think it'll be all right. Okay, so let me move these out of the way, and we'll move that paper up there. Move these on here and get our pages. Okay, so following our directions here, the first thing we're going to do is adhere our wooden pieces. We need to assemble our squares too. Did not get that done either. Okay, those 2 pieces are going to be over there. So we're just going to add one of these to the top, one of these to the bottom. I always start in the center. I try to always start in the center. Line up my lower left corner with the jeeping and the lower edge of my page, and then line up the rest of the lower edge of my page. I do that because I don't know if you can see this on camera or not, but this particular paper, like sometimes happens, is not exactly the same width as the 12 by 12 page, and there is a little bit of variance in production, and so it's less noticeable if you line, I feel like it's less noticeable if you line up the center portion each time, and then you don't see it as much when there is a variance. There isn't always a variance, but sometimes there is. For those rare occasions, it's just a good habit to get yourself into. All right, there's that. Then we're going to take 2 of these. I'm going to put my shadow going down on the one on the bottom and my shadow going up for the one on the top. I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive again. And this is going to go right across the seam, about even, halfway through my punched design. So the edge is halfway through, and my adhesive is right down the middle of my strip. And I do that for a reason. That way, if you are trying to, if you decide you want to go ahead and put a photograph a little bit closer, you can usually slide it right underneath, and you don't have to worry about getting your multi-purpose tool to lift it up or anything. It's just helpful that way. Okay, so there's that. Then we're going to add, let's go ahead and add these on. Actually, before we do that, I want to go ahead and put the pictures where they're going to go, and then we'll see how much color we need. Okay, so we're just going to set those up here for right now. Let's get this other page assembled with all of our pieces parts. So first of all, let's put our squares together, and I need to put each one of these lighter green or solid green squares centered with about 1/4 of an inch on all sides, just like that. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add, oh, almost can't see that. That's really strange. Okay, scooting this a little bit more into frame. I'm going to put this square down here in the lower right corner. And we're going to adhere this one in the upper left corner. Did I say right? Lower left and upper left. Goodness. I don't know what I'm saying over here. Okay, and then this one's going to go right in the middle as soon as we have adhered these guys right here. So we're going to add these on, and they're going to go right along the bottom edge right here, all the way into the jeeping, and make sure your bottom edge is flush, just like so. And this one will be the same way, only at the top. So all the way into the jeeping, and then the top edge is flush. Okay, now we're going to take our leaves, and we need 4 inches of leaves for each one. And so just to make it work, I'm going to go ahead and use my trimmer and trim 4 inches. So that leaf will go up there, and these will go on the bottom. Then we have just a little bit of extra if we need it for something. Oh dear, that leaf kind of broke. Maybe we'll use this leaf. Sit. That'll work. Okay, you see that? A couple of the pieces just fell right off because there was nothing to keep them attached. Okay, so repositionable adhesive. right down the middle again. Make sure your shadow is going in the right direction. And then adhere that just like you did these on this side. Okay. And then this piece is going to meet the corners of these two pieces. And form that third edge. We will put a photo right along the edge right here, so it'll all be grand. Okay, and I've got those buttons on the other side, so it's wanting to give me a hard time. Okay, so this is our photo that's going to be our main one. That's kind of the introduction to the land of Tahiti. And I'm going to just sort of lay out these pictures. And then we will, I think we'll put the throne right here. And then this one. And then these two are going to need to share, so they're going to overlap just a little bit, like so. Okay, so I also have a journal box, and I have this little guy that needs to be framed. So I think maybe what we'll do is we'll use the cards to frame this piece. So I need to cut this at 3 1/4 inches will be my halfway mark, because this is one of the larger cards from the mat pack. So it's 6 1/2 by 4 1/2. So we've got this one for this, which is cool. And I'd like to frame this picture. So probably I need another piece of red. I think it would be good. Let me make sure that this is the right red. Yeah. All right, and then we need to figure out what we're going to do with those pieces. So I have it. This is a 5 by 7. So I'm going to do a 5 1/2. I'm going to cut this at 5 1/2. And I have to get my arm out to do the other part. So we're going to turn this and do this at 7 1/2. And I don't think I'm going to double mat this. I think we're just going to do the single. I think that's a work in progress, my thoughts. And let's go ahead and we'll put this together while we're thinking. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and put these photos down as well. So this is going to slide slightly underneath. Not too much though. Should be pretty darn close. Alright, well we'll just go ahead and put it right there. Let me put my pages together so I can see where I placed that photo, so I can make sure this one is in the same place. There we go. So you can see it's just barely under the edges of my leaves. Not much at all. And before we put these pictures down, we need to go ahead and put our red and gold pieces down. So I'm going to go ahead and put some repositionable adhesive all along the back of this. And then I think I am just going to go ahead and put it right across the middle of our leaves. They sort of look a little bit like, I don't know, some kind of party decoration. I was thinking that this section right here almost looks like a bead or like a fancy fishing lure or something. I'm not a fisherman, so who knows? All right, now these are horizontal pictures, of course, and this, you can see that the sketch really calls for 3 vertical photos and a 4x4, but I am going to go ahead and just put these halfway, as much as you can, halfway up the photo. It's kind of hard to judge sometimes, but we're going to do our best. And then just make all of the edges meet of all of these photos, because that's kind of a secret that we're going for here. And then I'm going to add this little journal box off to the side, and we're going to need to lift these corners just a little so I can sneak this in. But we're going to put this guy right off to the side, centered, and or maybe just slightly towards the bottom so we can add some embellishments. Okay, so just like that. And then we need to cut this guy into 2 4-inch pieces. So what I'm going to suggest we do is center one of the beads on the 2 line. That way we get an even, I don't know, I just think it looks cool that way, because this cut that we make goes straight through the weave, the woven part, and just looks cool, I think. So we're going to do this one at 4 inches also. Cut straight through that woven part for that area up there. And then I think actually I am going to double mat this. I think it would look funny not to. So give me just a second to grab some more cardstock. Okay, so that one we did at 7.5 by 5.5. So let's just do a quick, really thin, we're going to do a 5 1/4 piece, so that there's just barely like an 1/8 inch border around the edge. So 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 will give us that just hint of gold right around the edge. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and frame her up. And the information about Tahiti. Every time I say the name of the island Tahiti, I always think of the character in Moana, Tahiti. They are not the same thing, I don't think. I don't think they're meant to be the same thing. But that is what it reminds me of. Oh yeah, I like that so much better. Okay, cool beans. We are cooking now. All right. Then this is going to go a little bit higher because this is our focal point. I'm not going to do a title for this page. I'm just going to let each of these enlarged photos that I made kind of speak for themselves and introduce each one of the islands. And then we'll add this little guy down here to let everybody know what we did, and I'll come back with a marker and check off the things that we actually were able to do in each of the countries. So we're going to adhere this guy. Let's line up our page just to make sure we're not doing something funky. Okay. Uh-oh, it's a little off. Hang on. All right, there we go. Okay, now I think some leaves or flowers would probably be a good idea. We can use some of these that we created. I can use some of the hunched variety. So there we've got one, we've got two. All I'm doing is rounding edges, kind of making, completing the shape of the leaf. This one will need to be kind of onto the edge. And we may need a flower or something. So let's do that there. I'm going to grab my foam squares. We'll add a foam square or two to the back of this one. Sometimes they like to stick to my fingernails. And then let's see, maybe we'll add a foam square to this guy too. Why not, right? And let's put him maybe right there. And we need some flowers. So, or maybe we should just add, no, I'm not going to add another one of those. I think we've got enough of that on here. Give me just a second and I will figure out some embellishments. Okay, so we're going to use these leaves, and I think think I'm just going to kind of stick that leaf right down behind this particular leaf right here, just like that, to kind of add a little bit there. And we'll add a little white flower, which I need a smaller foam square for. Maybe just stick that right in there, and then I'll do some journaling about these photos right there. And I'm gonna add this leaf maybe kind of up underneath there. Or maybe I'll just add a bigger one of these right there. And we'll put a flower. And let's see, right in here, we're going to add the bigger flowers. Maybe we'll do one on one side and one on the other, kind of like so. I feel like I need like a fifth thing though. I need an odd number of things. Let's see. There's another leaf. Different kind of leaf, but I could stick that kind of in there to make that grouping just a little bit more symmetrical. Odd numbers just work better for those kinds of things. So, okay. This page is nearly done. I love it. All right, there we go. And I'm going to add just some repositionable adhesive to the back of these flowers because I don't feel like we need to add to what's coming up off the page. So we're just going to pop those in on top of the leaves that are already raised up. And then these over here just need some foam squares. Move that down just a smidge. And then that one will go right in the middle there. Okay, I believe we are done with that particular layout. What do we think? I know it's a little shiny over here on this side. Let me see if I can fix that. There we go. I like the way that turned out. I think it turned out really nice. And I like the red and the gold. I think it really helps pull the red and gold from the photos and complement that. So really, really a fun layout. I appreciate you joining me for this time around, and I hope that I've been able to inspire you and show you some new ideas for using your tools and creating something really special for your albums. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to pop that into the comments. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you have, thank you so much for doing so. I really do need subscribers, so be sure and share my channel with your friends and fellow paper crafters, and hopefully they can be inspired too. Until next time, thanks so much, and I hope you have many more creative moments. Have a great day.